Welcome once again to Voices of Fostering, and today I'm joined by Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really keen to hear about you and your fostering story. So you've been fostering for, is it 2 years now, Matt, with your wife? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we got approved in the summer of 22, early summer of 22, and we're kind of waited for a little bit to be matched with a suitable, foster child. And that happened late summer, so we didn't have to wait that long. 2 years.
The summer of 22 was when you went to panel, I take it, and that's when you were approved. So was it was back to normal then, wasn't it? Was it still a bit sort of pandemic times when you first applied?
Yeah, it was during COVID that we actually did apply and went through the process of being approved. Our panel was online, so that it was towards the end of COVID where things hadn't quite straightened themselves out. But we were, we were out of the lockdown period then, so things were just getting back to normal.
Yeah, so tell us about your assessment process then, and really actually take us back before that. What was it that sort of prompted you and your wife to become foster carers? What was it that made you decide to do it?
So my father is, he was born and raised in an orphanage for the first 3 years, and then was subsequently fostered. And he'd always brought me up, saying that if you could ever foster a child, he had given him the tools, he had given him the opportunities that he would probably have never had being a child in an orphanage in the early 1950s. So that set him up. Myself and my wife, Sarah, we'd always talked about having the ability to do so. If we could, we would, if we had the time and the space, which is more importantly is having the space around. Unfortunately for me, my first chosen career was in the forces. So I was in the British Army for 23 years. So we were travelling around a lot, moving house every 2 or 3 years is not conducive to being, a foster carer. So once that career had finished, and I've subsequently moved into a second career. We've settled. We've got the space. My children have all but grown up. We've got 3 children, and two have moved on, and we've just got my youngest daughter living with us. So we then found ourselves with having them conditions to be able to foster space and more importantly some time that we can put to one side. We do have our own careers, so we do still work, and it can fit. It's a juggle at times, and sometimes we're very busy, but we have understanding employers that have foster carers policies in place, so it does give us that ability to do that.
So tell us about the children that you've fostered so far then in these 2 years. I understand you've had a child with you for quite a while, and then you've also been a respite carer as well, is that right?
Yes. So we've in total, I think the total is now 13 children that we've had. We've just taken on another short-term child. So now we've got 2 in our care that will stay for however long that they want to. But in the meantime, we've been doing a lot of respite and emergency placements, which again provides its own challenge. But something that we've really enjoyed is having these children in for respite for short periods, and then they go back for whatever reason. Their carers needing a break or a holiday, and we've had a couple of emergency placements where places are broken down, placements are broken down, or there's been accidents. We've had one where a carer had an accident and needed to go in hospital for a little while. So we've really enjoyed them. Different challenges, meeting all these fantastic children that bounce through our door. That their resilience just still amazes me every time. You see a new child and you just think, wow, how do they do it? But yeah, that's a good part of that's a really rewarding part of being a foster carer, to see these children come in. You can make a difference, even if it's just for one night, and then they move back, they move on.
And you talked there, Matt, about, the children having resilience. But for foster carers, as you say, every situation can be different. You can have a child for one night, and then maybe you have a child for a longer period and the situation is completely different. As foster carers, you have to be quite resilient as well, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think that me and my wife, we're quite well suited to it. Previously, we've done a lot of work with grassroots football, so we've worked a lot with younger children. We spent a lot of our time volunteering in grassroots football coaching and mentoring and stuff like that. But also, I think my wife works in the NHS. So she's had a lot of training, and she's got a lot of tools that she can bring to fostering. And my previous career, dealing with soldiers of all ages, and especially younger soldiers, being that kind of guide, that mentor, they're all things that you can then bring across and apply in the fostering world. Of course, we've also brought 3 children up, so we've got them skills that we've learned ourselves in making those bringing those children up and making them choices that you might look back on and think I'd do it slightly differently. So as it's a learning process for everyone, but I think that has given us them experiences have given us a lot of the tools that we can apply.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people think, if they haven't got experience of caring for children, and maybe they've not had their own children, maybe they've not even had nieces or nephews, that they're not really in a good place to be a foster carer. But as you say, there's so many different things in your life, so many different situations in your life where there are transferable skills, aren't there? There
absolutely is. And the things that you wouldn't even think about that then you find yourself kind of naturally doing and think, yeah, that is a skill that I've picked up before, and it is a transferable skill. And I've just put that in place. I've just used it. Many of us now in your careers, you've done health and safety training, you've done first aid training. That in itself, because it gives you a little insight into what's needed, because you've got a lot of training to do once you become an approved foster carer. So you've got to keep on top of that. But if you've got some prior knowledge, it does help.
Yeah. So I want to ask about your own children, Max. You say you've got 3 children. They're all grown up now, but you say one of them is living with you. Is that right?
Yeah.
How do they find it? What do they think about you being foster carers?
Well, they've been massively supportive throughout. My eldest, he went to uni in Manchester and has never come back. He's settled and doing his own thing over there. But when he does come back to visit, he's really supportive. He's good with the kids as well, which definitely helps. And the middle child, he's now working and living with his girlfriend most of the time. He does occasionally come back and get his washing done. He's fantastic with the children again. Something that we've always done when we've done these these voluntary roles in the football, for instance, our children were always involved, so they kind of embrace it. They've helped us along the way. They're really supportive. They're really good for the children as well. It gives another aspect that the children can then speak to or sort of bond with, which is great. And my youngest daughter, she's just finished her exams, her GCSE, so she's still with us. She's kind of a good role model for the children. They all seem to even the ones that come for just one night, they seem to get on really well with her. And it's another aspect where we can reflect after these children have moved on, and we get feedback in all directions. So our own children can give us feedback and talk about the ups and downs and the things that have really gone well and perhaps things that we could change. So we are a really reflective family, and we do look at things all around.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes people can be concerned, prospective foster carers, that if you have got your own children, how does it affect them? But what do you think it teaches them? What do you think the positives are? What do your children get from mum and dad being foster carers?
I don't know. I don't know what they get. My children have been included right from the start. So we talked to them before we even made the first call. We talked to them about, asked them what they thought about it, and we talked to them about the process. The assessor was inclusive of the children and making sure that they were understanding of the process. And I know the children are they're very positive about it. They know that we're kind of doing a good thing. They want to be involved. My daughter especially, it's given her a lot of more experience, life experience. It kind of, I probably think that they also look at how lucky they are not to be in that situation, but they do understand. They've been involved right from the start. They understand that Grandad was a foster child and know that the opportunities that he was given. So obviously they can see, again, he's making a difference. And we've always said if we can make a difference to one child for one day, a small difference, then that difference, he's going to add to their life.
Yeah. So you say you've had, is it 13 children come and live with you now over the past 2 years? For anyone watching who's not got experience of foster caring, can you just tell us, Matt, what's it like when a new child comes and lives in your house? That first day, that first night. What's it like?
Honestly, nerve-wracking, hectic. Sometimes we describe our house as a madhouse because you might get a call and you've got to put things in place, change a room around. We've got an ottoman just full of bedding for different ages, different colours, different sexes. So it's just that quick change, but also it's exciting. It's really, when you're waiting for that person to walk through your door, it is exciting. You're apprehensive, but you're also excited about what you can do. We've never had a bad experience when they come through. This is what I was saying about the resilience of the children. They walk through the door, they actually bounce through the door most of the time. It's an adventure to them. So however long they're going to be here, we just try and make that their time with us like that adventure, a holiday. If it's for respite, we don't call it respite when the kids come to us. We say a holiday, you're here for a holiday, and they're going to have some time, spend some time with us, do all the nice things, just give them as much as we can for the little time that they are here. But yeah, the children that come, they do seem to enjoy it. We've got a really good mix of ages and boys and girls across the board. So it seems to work.
And are there any particular, children or young people or scenarios that have stood out to you so far, Matt, in these past 2 years? Moments where you've gone, wow, we have really made a difference, or a child has made really good progress, and that's been really heartwarming. Is there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean the child that we've had for nearly 2 years, he's just he's chalk and cheese now to when they first came here. They had health problems under the hospital, a bad relationship with food, massively underweight, wouldn't try anything, new foods, all these experiences, and then just little things like never done anything, so never seen the seaside, never been to the beach, never been on a plane, never been on holiday, all the things that we probably take for granted, and your own children would. So it's quite humbling that then you look at it on that side, but then massively rewarding when you see them dipping their toes on the beach. My mum lives in Filey, so we're quite lucky. We've got a weekend escape that we can go to, and to see them dipping their toes in the North Sea, albeit very cold, is just a wow experience. But they've made a massive change. To the point where now we can see that there's a difference. That child's whole future has now changed, and from what they possibly were looking forward to and what they are now, it's just huge.
So you've done 2 years now of foster caring. What do you think's going to be your future, Matt? Can you imagine being sat here in 20 years and saying, I've been fostering for over 20 years? Do you think that you'll go and go for years?
Well, I wish that I'd done it sooner, but obviously my previous career didn't allow me to do that, and we are a little bit older now, so things that we'll have to slow down, but. Never say never. I don't know really, no real firm plans. Definitely looking forward to taking on more and more challenges and continuing in the way until we possible, it's not possible to do it health wise or just general fitness, then absolutely.
And you don't know really what your situation's going to be in a year's time. You don't really know what child you're going to have with you, or you don't really know, do you? Do you find that exciting?
Yes, but also then on the flip side, and I've heard this many a time from other foster carers, giving them up or seeing them go is one of the hardest things. And I've seen that over, just when we've had a respite for a couple of weeks and they've really made a connection. So it's exciting what the future brings, but we'd also like to see that the two that we've got in our care at the minute, we give them some stability, which is quite possibly what they need. So hopefully continue and they continue wherever they want to stay. There's a space, and we just we take each day as it comes.
Yeah, Matt, you touched on there, children and young people moving on, which is something that we do talk about quite a lot on the podcast. And I'd be interested to get, your view on it. I think that is something that a lot of people say, I could never foster because letting them go, would break my heart. I wouldn't be able to do it. Can you tell us what it's like?
It does break your heart. And we've had tears when they've gone. And even, we've had people in for just a short amount of time, and they really they really grab hold of you. It really touches you inside. It's hard, but everything that we've witnessed and seen is for the better. So they're moving on to a more permanent place, or they're moving on to somewhere that's a little more suitable. It's possibly the worst part, but also it's nice to know that they're moving. We've always had, a chat with the new carers or where they're going back to make sure that they're all right. We try and keep in touch as much as we can, but you can't send hundreds of texts out a day just to check up. But especially in that interim period, we definitely just keep in touch and ask how they're doing. We have been and visited children in their new placements once they've settled after a couple of days. There's a fine line between, overstepping the mark and upsetting, rocking the boat, but making sure that they know. We don't want children to think that anyone's been rejected, which is probably what they've been through, earlier in their life. So to just make that connection, hopefully in many years' time, we get a knock on our door and someone says, "Do you remember me? You used to foster me."
Yeah.
And,
I was just thinking that. I was thinking it's like you're part of their story, aren't you? And just like your dad, remembers his foster carers, you're going to be a massive part of their life forever.
Yep. So my dad's foster carers, I actually called Nan and Grandad. So they were, although they were a lot older and I was quite young when they passed along, but I do remember them, and they are. He refers to them as his mum and dad, although he was never adopted. Hoping that we can make that kind of impact to these young children.
Yeah. And when you hear people talk about fostering and, they might say things like, I could never do it because, I couldn't let them go. It'd be too much. We've addressed that misconception, if you like. What are some of the other biggest misconceptions that you would say you hear and you don't think are true?
Well, I've talked about it a little bit. People say that they can't do it because they work, and that's not correct. It's not easy, and there is some jobs that might preclude you from doing it, including, but when I was in the forces, that was one of the big things. But it can be done around work. You have to be a little bit flexible, but I'm sure in this day and age, a lot of employers have got these, the things that my employer and my wife's employer have got in place. Foster care policies and stuff like that. So I would say that it's not impossible. It is hard work. It's like your work stops and then you continue working. So it's and we're only approved for school age children, which does help, because obviously then they can get off to school, and then we can continue our day as much as we can as normal. So I would say that's one of them. The other one is that I think a lot of people that look at it or even look at us think that all the children come with a lot of problems and they wouldn't be able to handle them. And if that is the case, that a child has some problems, there's support there, which probably you don't look at as getting. They think they're going to be dumped on their own and left to their own devices, and that is not the case. There's so much support for additional needs, for to make sure that you are not just left in a position where you can't cope.
Yeah, so we've not talked about that yet, really. So that's a perfect opportunity to go into that. Tell us about the support that you receive, and if you do have a problem or you're worried about something, what do you do?
So, we've got a fantastic supervising social worker who supports myself and my wife and my family. She spends a lot of time with my own children and has a little chat with them every now and again just to catch up. But they support us in our needs and fight our corner for whatever any support we need, as well as keeping on top of checking up that the house is safe and suitable and all that sort of stuff. But there's also other people behind the scenes in the agency that provide additional support. We've had a lovely lady that comes from our agency, and she can come and take the children out. So some of the cases, some of the children we've had are in a case where they're moving areas, so they're not in school. So this lady's come and she take them out for the day, give them a different sort of venue to not just being stuck in the house while we're doing stuff, in a week or whatever, and the other kids are at school. And then you've got the children's social workers, which also they support you, and they do actually provide good support. There's out of hours support, so they don't lock down at 5 o'clock or at the weekend, and there's nobody there. There's always someone that you can reach out and talk to. So there's that whole support network, and then we've got a support network as carers. So we're pretty lucky that we've got extended family and like my children and my wife's friends. They all provide additional support. So if we need a night away, then my parents are cleared to come and sit and stay at ours, so the children have a sort of an environment that they're used to, and it's just they're them coming in to look after them. So there's lots and lots of things that are put in place.
Yeah, you're definitely not on your own, are you? You've definitely got a whole family of support around you. So, Matt, if someone was watching or listening who maybe, does have a full-time job, maybe their partner does as well, like you and your wife do, and they've thought, oh, we can't be foster carers, we just won't be able to do it. What would you say to them?
Well, do your research within your own employer first, and probably ask the question. That's something that I did really early on. I know they had a policy for adoption and maternity and paternity leave and stuff like that, so I asked. They did have there was a sort of a paragraph in there for fostering, and they even give me time off for training to complete the training that you need to do. So that's a positive. But then also speak to family, speak to close friends, because they will be able to balance out that the pros and cons. It's not for everyone, but we're massively they're massively in demand. Foster carers are needed, and if you could see the children and young people that need a home, that need someone to look after them, and if that's just for one night, or if it's until they become 18 and then beyond, the need is massive. I would say everyone can do it. Everyone will have something that they can bring, and the vast experiences it helps the children as they grow and develop into their own person. So I would say at least go for it, and definitely make a call. Have a look, do a little bit of research on the internet, find out who providers are, and have a chat.
So it sounds like, Matt, you've had such a positive experience over the last 2 years. Would you say, just to finish and sum up, really, has it changed yours and your wife's lives for the better?
Yeah, absolutely. It enhances your life. What we bring to the children is probably as equal to what the children bring into our lives. So the changes we've seen, the change in the kind of people we are, we've seen the change in our ways, all for the better. Because sometimes we can you can rest on your laurels and get into that routine. It's not a place where probably thought I would have been 20 years ago. That I've got young children again, and I'm the age I am. But it's absolutely enhanced our lives. It brings joy to us every day to see them, and they, what we give to them is far outweighed from what they bring back to us in sort of joy, achievement, accomplishment. It's all really positive.
Matt, that's wonderful. And I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been lovely to hear your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to get involved in the conversation, we would love to hear your questions. Maybe there's something you'd really like to ask about fostering. Get in touch. You can email us on podcast@nfa.co.uk.